This is my Omega Constellation Globemaster, and I have not been able to take this watch off my wrist. So I'm not actually a super big Omega fan. I just happen to know a lot about watches because I got into watches many years ago when I was a teenager. Omega is one of those brands that I really appreciate, but I don't fully love because I don't love all of their collection. The Seamaster is cool, the Speedmaster is cool, but they are not really watches for me. I never was into chronographs, so I'm not a huge fan of the Speedmaster on my own wrist, and personally I have pretty small and dainty wrists, so I can't wear a lot of the stuff like the Seamasters, for example. Seamaster Professional is just too big. But in general, Omega is a brand that I really respect, and I think they've done so much for the industry, but at the same time, I never quite got into Omega. That being said, there are two collections that I really like. I do generally like the Aquaterra line. I think the Aquaterra line is super beautiful. That black lacquer Aquaterra is so cool, and if I wanted a black watch, like an everyday black watch, that's probably the one I would buy. However, that's not actually my favorite Omega. My favorite Omega is obviously, as you imagine, it's the Constellation Globemaster. 2 years ago when I was researching some watches, there were two watches that I knew that I had to just own in my life. One was a Grand Seiko. Any number of models could suffice, whether it be the SBGA 413, the SBGJ 249, which I tried, or even the SBGH 341. There are a number of Grand Seikos that I really like, but the one Omega that I knew I had to own was just this Globemaster. Now, I should clarify that I didn't buy this watch brand new. I actually bought this used. I bought an early 2024 model, but it was basically pristine. Like, it sort of looked like it hadn't even been worn. In fact, on the first day that I got it, I already got like scratches and dings on the clasp, and I guess I would say that hurts, but I've owned enough watches to know that that's just super normal. All of my watches get hella scratches, so I guess it's just not a big deal for me anymore. I paid a pretty decent chunk of change for it, but still way under retail. I think I paid in total a little under 5,500 US dollars, so that is not too bad for basically a brand new watch. I know you can probably get it cheaper if you really look hard enough, but the thing is that this is not a very popular Omega. I think this watch is just kind of forgotten within the watch circles, especially in the broader Omega audience. Like, Omega, I feel, doesn't really target watch enthusiasts necessarily. They target super big mass market, and nothing wrong with that. Rolex does that too. This is overall a pretty forgotten Omega watch. I feel like most people don't even know that this watch exists. I feel like the Constellation line, especially around here in Asia or whatever, they sort of focus a lot more on women. So this Omega Globemaster is a little bit rarer. In fact, I don't think I'll ever see someone wearing this on their wrist in real life. Like, genuinely, it's pretty rare to even hear of someone who even knows about this watch. So that's a small part of it that I like. I do think that it's quite an underrated piece, but at the same time, I also like that it's underrated, you know? It's not an Omega that everyone will recognize. It's an Omega that basically flies under the radar, and when watch enthusiasts, you know, they know about it and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know Omega had this. So what do I like about the Globemaster? Well, there's so many things I like about it. First of all, I think aside from some other issues with the bracelet and stuff, I think the size is really good. 39mm is great. I do wish it was a bit smaller. I think if it was 37 or 38, it would have been perfect. But I also understand that it is a little bit difficult, especially since they chose to put the 8900 movement in this, which was at the time in 2015, Omega's first METAS movement. This is the first watch from Omega that received the METAS certification, which, if you guys don't know, is basically a step above COSC for accuracy testing, magnetic resistance testing, water resistance testing. Basically, they test it to a more stringent degree so that the accuracy is within 0 to plus 5 seconds per day. It's magnetic resistant up to 15,000 Gauss. If you look up on the Omega website, you can actually see the exact certification for your specific watch. You see all the tests that they did, and it's pretty cool. At the end of the day, like, does it really matter? Because all Omega watches are META certified today. For me, I think it's never really mattered too much. Accuracy has never been a huge part of of my mechanical watches, but it is nice to know that this is super accurate. In fact, in the last month that I've been wearing this, it has maintained superb accuracy. It gains about 1 to 2 seconds per day. It never loses time due to the Meta certification, promising that it will only gain time and not lose time, which makes it easier to set with a reference time. Other things I like about it, I think the main things that I really liked about it were the pipe hand dial. I really love the pipe hand dial, and I love vintage Omega Constellations. They just look so good, and I think having it in a modern package is really cool. I really like the fluted bezel as well. It's actually made of tungsten carbide, which is insanely hard on the Mohs hardness scale. I think it's like a level 9 or 9.5, so it's really tough and basically impossible to damage. In fact, your whole case can get scratched up, but that bezel will probably remain pristine. And it's such a hard material too, like knowing how hard tungsten carbide is, and they finished it to a polished, like such a high polish degree, like it just shows their, you know, material chops at Omega. I love the 8900 movement. Its jumping hour feature is super duper cool. If you travel a lot, for example, and you have a GMT, for example, oftentimes when you pull the crown out to the second position, you can just rotate the local hour hand. And while this watch isn't a GMT, you can do the exact same thing, where you can just rotate the hour without stopping the balance, and it makes changing the time zones really easy. It does make it such that if you are used to quickset dates, it will take a bit longer to change the date, but I don't think it takes that much longer. You just have to rotate the hour twice. I think it's not too big of a hassle because you can even go backwards, which you can't do on a quickset date. And lastly, I just love the history behind the Constellation line. You know, that observatory with 8 stars is just a huge symbol of Omega's chronometry efforts back in the 1900s, and knowing that it's been repackaged into a more modern watch is just super cool to me. I love that this watch was the first Meta certified watch. It's so fitting that this is the one to get it. And now that's been passed on to all the other Omega watches, and knowing that this was the pioneer, I think it just makes it a bit more special to me. Well, what are the cons? As much as I love this watch, and I think this is like basically 1 out of 2 of my grails, it's not perfect. For one, I feel like it doesn't wear super nicely on the wrist in terms of size. It is 39mm, and the lug to lug is actually relatively short at 46mm, but due to the lugs being quite flat on the wrist, it doesn't actually wear that like contort to your wrist. And also the bracelet, while it is female end links, it doesn't really droop or rotate down that easily. In fact, the links are they look pretty solid, and they're not a fully articulating bracelet. They don't rotate the other way, which isn't a problem, but towards the end link area, it just doesn't curve down as smoothly. In fact, it makes a small gap between the end link and the case. Some people are really bothered by this. For me, I'm not really bothered by this at all. Would I have preferred a case that wore a bit nicer? Yes. The Aquaterra, for example, I've tried on the Aquaterra in person. It wears really nicely, and I think that would have been really good, but I understand that this is a little bit different. I'm not the biggest fan of the bracelet. It's not the most comfortable, and it having a butterfly deployant is actually a bit of a negative for me. I like butterfly deployants. I think they wear really nicely, and I think they look super good, and they're slim. But that being said, the lack of micro adjustment, I don't even need on the fly micro adjustment. That's not even the concern. It's just that it doesn't have micro adjustment at all, even with your pins. And also the watch doesn't come with half links at all, so you only get full size links if you want to resize, and because of that I actually wasn't able to get a perfect fit on the watch. If it's a hot day, for example, it'll fit me pretty alright, but generally when I'm wearing it, it is a little bit loose and it does droop down a little bit. But if I remove one link, it becomes too tight. So I just wish they included half links. Half links would have basically solved my problem. But yeah, I guess you just can't have a perfect watch. For example, here's my Longines Spirit Zulu time on my wrist, and this is what I would call a perfect fit. It doesn't really have any hang, it doesn't really move around very easily, but it still allows for about 1 finger worth of spacing to be able to swell up during the hotter days. I know some people also complain that the watch doesn't have a screw down crown. Yeah, it doesn't. For me, that's not a negative. I don't find screw down crowns a huge priority in especially a watch that's sort of like this. I don't feel like it's a bit sporty, but it's also not completely sporty, and for me, not having a screw down crown is actually more convenient. I do like it on my divers and, you know, maybe even like other sports watches, but generally I'm not a huge pusher of the whole having to need a screw down crown for an everyday watch. But actually the biggest detractor I see online from people regarding this watch is the fact that it's sort of too dressy to be a sports watch, but also too sporty to be a dress watch. And in some aspects, I can sort of understand, you know, the case finishing is pretty much brushed except for some beveled edges. I mean, the finishing is really good, but like the bracelet is fully brushed with the exception of the sides. But at the same time, it also has a fluted bezel, which is polished, and that's quite a dressy element. The pipe hand dial is also arguably a dressy element, but the whole case sort of feels a bit sporty. It wears a bit sporty. So I understand that sentiment. That said, I don't think too hard about it. It's an everyday watch for me. I wear it every day. Is the Omega Aquaterra like a bit more versatile? I would say so, yes. And I think that's why a lot of people sort of go towards that side of Omega. The Aquaterra is not only more versatile to me, it has better water resistance, but it also can be a bit, it looks a bit dressier in its finishing. And then another thing is also the fact that this watch is actually more expensive than the Omega Aquaterra. I believe it's like $8,300 retail price. Where I'm from, it's about a few $1,000s more than the Aquaterra. And when starting to look at that kind of price difference, you really sort of wonder, what is the Glowmaster doing different that the Aquaterra couldn't? And I would say the Aquaterra gets you like 80% of the way. Of course, there are some things that you just don't get, which is why I went with this watch, such as the fluted bezel, the pipe hand dial. You just don't get those on the Aquaterra, and those were important enough factors for me that I wanted to get this instead. When I showed this watch to my friends, and I also compared it with the Aquaterra, all of my friends actually preferred the Glowmaster. They haven't seen the Aquaterra in real life, but looking at photos and videos and also trying on my Glowmaster, they all did prefer the Glowmaster, mainly because of the bezel as well as the pipe hand dial. Those were actually pretty big factors for them, which is pretty funny because that was also a pretty big factor for me. But yeah, I'm super happy to have this watch. It is definitely the favorite watch in my collection right now. I think I will be wearing this a lot throughout the year, and it's definitely my favorite Omega watch, that's for sure. I'm probably never gonna buy another Omega watch because I just don't really like any of the other watches on myself. But yeah, I think I'm super happy with this purchase, and I hope for those of you who have been interested in Omega, maybe looking for a more dressy or everyday piece, and you haven't looked at this watch, I think this is one to consider, especially for those Aquaterra shoppers. If you're willing to cough up the extra money, of course. I think this is such a great watch, and you should definitely have it on your radar. But hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this video. This is my first watch video like ever. So if you guys enjoyed, please show some support, subscribe, and I hope to make more watch videos in the future. Maybe do a state of the collection or review some other watches that I have. In any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys real soon. Goodbye!